Took a while.
Yeah.
Bill Doyle, Worcester Telegram. Brad, I was wondering if you sensed with Isaiah out if Avery's become more of a leader, and what kind of leader is Avery?
Avery's been, like a lot of our guys, I think the number one quality of leadership is setting an example and being authentic, right? So I guess that's two qualities, but I think he's great at both of those things. He works really hard. He prepares the right way. And, you know, Avery's not a very loud guy. But a lot like Horford, when he speaks, you know, his words carry a lot of weight. And he's had a great postseason and season all the way around. And so I can't say that I've noticed any difference in his leadership. I'd say that's just been a pretty consistent thing all the way throughout the year.
Mark Murphy, Boston Herald. Brad, Ty Lue's talked an awful lot about the adjustments you guys have made without Isaiah. How much of a challenge has that been with you to sort of recreate things on the fly? Well,
I mean, obviously you play a lot of minutes throughout the course of the year without him on the floor. So these are not things that, you know, are complete overhauls, right? These are just things that you really have to emphasize playing through the post more. You have to emphasize playing through our bigs and the seams more. You have to emphasize more cutting and movement than pick and roll probably. You know, I thought them putting LeBron on Smart and switching those pick and rolls took some of our movement away. We did a really good job in the first half even with that. So we'll have to be a little bit more crisp throughout a full 48 minutes. But they make it tough. I mean, it's hard to get a good shot every time down the floor, so we have to, you know, make sure we play to our strengths. Without IT on the floor, a lot of our strengths are playing through movement and post cuts.
Brad, David Aldridge, TNT. Just what's Jaylen's situation?
Yeah, so Jaylen went through our shoot around and winced a little bit here and there, but told me that he's good to go. And you know, unless he goes through shooting and just comes back and says no, then right now he's good to go. Amir is fine. He's ready to go. And it turned out he could have played the last game, but one day off of that thing, I was pretty hesitant to put him in.
Coach Bob Schrawn, the Citizen. After the game, the guys were talking about the defensive problems, and I was just wondering, given that Kyrie and LeBron had such great games, what were you seeing defensively that might need adjustments without revealing too much, obviously?
Well, I mean, the fact of the matter is those guys are problems. You know, hey, it's, you know, we've got to show as much help as we can on both of those guys when they're in isolation. We've got to do a great job in our pick and roll coverages on both of those guys, and we guard them both differently by plan. You know, that's easier said than done because of the threat of the other guys around them. And, you know, again, it's when that weak side is Thompson kind of roving the dunker to the block area below the block on the baseline, and Korver and Love spotted up, it's easier said than done.
Hey, Coach, when they go to that switching defense like they did in the second half, are you telling
They did
your
it
guys?
I thought they did it most of the game. But yeah, go ahead.
Are you telling your guys, even though IT is not there, to, hey, no matter what your matchup is, you got to crack these guys off the dribble. You got to get to the ball to the paint.
I don't think necessarily crack them off the dribble, depending on the matchup. But I think that certainly in some matchups, yes. But we've got to attack the paint via the roll, the drive, and the post up. You know, and I think that's what's on our board. That's what we're talking about. We did a great job in the first half of slipping some of those screens, which are hard to switch, as you know, and getting to the rim. And that created some possessions where we were able to kick out. We were more purposeful getting the ball into the paint via the pass and the post in the third quarter, fourth quarter, first half of Game 4, or third quarter, fourth quarter, Game 3, first half, Game 4. Not as good in the second, you know. When we're turning the ball over like we did in the third and fourth quarter the other night, that's a bad sign.
Coach, just curious if you had any interaction with Isaiah over the last couple of days. Is he? I don't even know if he's here, but do you have any update on his hip situation?
He's on his way in right now. He'll be here, obviously. And I've talked to him a couple times via phone maybe and a lot via text. I don't have an update. It sounds to me like the course of action right now is, like a lot of other injuries prior to deciding on a course of action, is to let the inflammation calm down a little bit.
As a follow-up to that, have you talked to him at all about kind of what you guys were able to do out in Cleveland, and is he giving some advice or thoughts from afar?
I mean, he's been really good about being encouraging via text and everything else, but no, I haven't talked to him about necessarily adjustments or anything like that.
Coach, Mark D'Amico, Celtics.com. Just got to ask, same starting lineup tonight or any changes?
Same.
Brad, Dan Roach from WBZ. Just you guys have been in a lot of big games over the course of this season. Just tonight, the approach and what you feel from your guys as you start tonight.
You know, like before, I thought when we got in the film session yesterday, we were still stinging a little bit from the night before. And when we got on the court today, we were just like we've been before every other game. I mean, these guys are good about turning around, figuring out what we can do a little bit better. You know, I think the other night, as we go back and look at how we could play better throughout a full 48, it's, playing more purposeful offense all the way through, as we've talked about, and then, doing our best to stymie those runs, and, providing the right amount of help, which again it's a quandary they put you in.